Welcome to Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This, the show where we have the tough conversations around aging and caring for a loved one. Whether you're an adult child or an aging parent or anyone caring for a loved one, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Angela Vanderpool, and each episode we dive into actionable tips, heartfelt stories, and expert guidance to support you on your journey. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This. Today, I want to share a little bit about the grief program I'm certified in, the Grief Recovery Method, where it came from, what it teaches, and why it matters for all of us as grievers. The heart behind the program. The Grief Recovery Method began with a grieving dad. In 1977, John James and his wife lost their infant son just a few days after birth. And like so many of us who faced loss, John was devastated. What made it even harder was all of the well-meaning but unhelpful things people said. Things like, "You're young, you can try again," or "God just needed another angel." No one seemed to know how to help him actually deal with his grief. And while he and his wife both tried to be strong for each other, what really happened was that they weren't honest about how deeply they were hurting. That silence eventually cost them their marriage, a story many grieving parents sadly share. But out of that heartbreak, John began asking new questions. What do grievers really need? What words would have helped? What actions could actually bring healing? He began putting those ideas into practice, and as he found his own recovery, others started asking him to help them too. And that is how the Grief Recovery Handbook was born. From those first pages written in grief, the program grew. At first, it was taught to funeral directors, then to professionals around the world, and eventually to thousands of grievers. And today, the Grief Recovery Method is offered on 6 continents, translated into over 20 languages, and in 2019, it became the first evidence-based program for grief recovery. Other books that you might find helpful that the Grief Recovery Institute has published are When Children Grieve, written for adults to help children process loss. Whether you're a parent, teacher, counselor, or coach, this book can be very helpful. Moving On, which is focused on dealing with divorce and the end of romantic relationships and helping people let go of relationship baggage that they are still carrying. Moving Beyond Loss is a collection of the most common questions grievers ask, with heartfelt answers by Russell Friedman, John James's partner. The Grief Recovery Handbook for Pet Loss. Recognizing that losing a beloved pet is one of the deepest and most often dismissed sources of grief. I know for me personally, that book alone drew me to the Grief Recovery Program because those have been some of the biggest losses in my life personally. Each of these books expands on the same foundational truth. Grief is real, grief is universal, and with the right tools, we can move towards healing. So what is grief? The Grief Recovery Method offers 2 simple but powerful definitions. First, grief is the normal and natural reaction to loss. And grief is the conflicting feelings caused by the end of or change in a familiar pattern of behavior. So grief isn't just about death. It can come from divorce, estrangement, moving, loss of health, even the shattering of a dream. And while grief is natural, what we're taught about handling it often isn't. Society tells us things like, be strong or move on. But those phrases don't give us tools for the real healing. What is unresolved grief? Unresolved grief often lives in the words we never said, the things we wish we would have done, or the hopes and expectations that were never fulfilled. It sounds a lot like, I wish I told Dad I loved him before it was too late. Or, I thought we'd have more time. Or, I hope that relationship could have been repaired. Those unmet conversations, hopes, and dreams can weigh us down. They sit in what I like to call the backpack of grief we all carry from childhood onward. Without tools to release them, the backpack just gets heavier and heavier until one day, one more loss just feels like too much to bear. What is completeness? Completeness happens when we can finally deliver those emotional communications, when we say what was left unsaid in a safe and guided way. Completeness doesn't erase our memories or love. It doesn't mean we forget. Instead, it lets us lay down the pain and carry the love forward. It makes room for fond memories to coexist with loss without being weighed down by regret or what ifs. So, why does this matter? Here's what I want you to know about grief. Grief touches 100% of us. Every single one of us is a griever. And if you've struggled to find help before, it isn't because something's wrong with you. It's because most of us were never taught the right tools. The grief recovery method has given me a pathway to both understand and release the weight of unresolved grief. And that's why I share it here, because maybe it's the missing piece for you too. In the coming episodes, we will talk more about these tools and how to apply them. But for now, I just want you to hear this. You are not broken. You are grieving, and there is a way forward. I look forward to continuing this conversation with each of you over the next several weeks and giving you hopefully some tools and some resources for maneuvering through the journey that is grief. So thank you again for joining us on Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks for tuning in to Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps us reach more adult children and their aging parents and loved ones. Special thanks to our sponsor, Dharma Healthcare Management, for supporting the show. Stay tuned for more honest conversations to help you find peace, clarity, and community with others who understand what you're going through. And we'll see you next time on Hey Mom, We Never Prepared for This.